Have you ever found yourself, drawn to those stories where the biggest battles aren't just fought out on these huge, epic landscapes, but also, like, deep inside the characters? Or maybe battles that stretch across generations?
Oh, absolutely. Those are often the most compelling ones, aren't they? The ones with real depth.
Exactly. And today, we're not just diving into a classic anime, we're really excavating the hidden layers of a franchise that asks exactly those questions. It's a saga, honestly, with lore that runs way, way deeper than you probably remember if you just caught it as a kid.
Definitely deeper than it might seem on the surface.
We are talking, of course, about Ronin Warriors, or, as it was originally known in Japan, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers. It's this seminal late 80s anime. It really stood out, famous for its unique mix of Japanese history, bits of Buddhist and Confucian philosophy, and just some really spectacular supernatural action.
A really potent combination for the time.
Yeah. And at its core, it's about these 5 young guys, each one chosen to wear these incredible, mystical samurai armors. And they're thrown into this relentless fight against this ancient, kind of ever-present demonic empire.
Right, the Yuja.
So our mission for this deep dive today is to really immerse ourselves, get fully into the complete canon of this franchise. We're going to take basically a stack of the most authoritative sources we can find, everything from the original 39-episode TV show.
The foundational stuff.
Right, all the way up to the recent, pretty exciting announcement of its sequel. And we're going to pull out the most important bits of knowledge, the key insights. We're going to unpack the entire chronologically ordered as best we can and sourced timeline of this saga. And hopefully, by the end, you'll walk away with a really solid, well-informed understanding of how it all evolved and, why it still resonates.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, and something we'll keep coming back to, is seeing how this franchise started out as, well, a pretty straightforward heroic fantasy.
Good guys versus bad guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it genuinely evolved. It turned into something much more profound. It shifted subtly from just good versus evil to actually questioning what heroism means and looking at these relentless kind of cyclical patterns of conflict that, well, humanity seems stuck in.
That's a heavy theme for an 80s action show.
It really is. And we're going to uncover how the story over time kind of reshaped its own origins, sometimes subtly, sometimes pretty drastically. And that leads to some real aha moments about power and purpose and what it actually takes to be a hero when maybe the fight never truly ends. Okay,
so to guide us through this pretty intricate story, we've pulled from a really broad set of sources, like you said. Our main stuff includes the original 39-episode TV series.
Starting point.
Yeah, the foundation. Then there are 3 really key subsequent OVAs, that's original video animations, which expanded things quite a bit.
Keeping the lore, definitely.
And then we'll bring it right up to today with the recently announced 2026 sequel, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers. So it spans decades, both in the story and, in real-world production time.
Exactly. It's quite a journey we're starting on. Let's get into it. Laying the foundation, understanding the world of Ronin Warriors. All right, so let's start by unpacking this core concept, the thing that really defines Ronin Warriors. At its heart, like I said, it's about 5 young men. They're chosen. They wear these incredible mystical samurai armors.
Right, the Yoroi.
But they aren't just, soldiers fighting demons. They're actually embodying fundamental human virtues, which sounds kind of simple, maybe?
It does on the surface. But that very foundation, that connection between the power and the virtue, is what allows for this incredibly rich and sometimes surprisingly philosophical story to unfold.
Okay, break that down a bit more.
What's critical to get right from the start is that the series immediately sets up this very fundamental conflict. It's not just physical strength versus physical strength. It's human virtue clashing directly head-on with demonic power. The original Japanese title, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers, literally means something like Armored Legend Samurai Troopers.
Yeah.
It puts the armor front and center.
So the armor is key.
Absolutely key. And these weren't just random heroes, they were soldiers, yeah? But soldiers in spiritual armor, basically, imbued with this deeper meaning, this blend of traditional samurai imagery, honor, Bushido, with these very overt, supernatural, almost spiritual elements. That was pretty groundbreaking back then.
Yeah, you didn't see that mix much.
No. And it wasn't just for show. It was rooted in this rich philosophical tapestry drawing on Eastern thought. We're talking about the Yuja, that's the demonic empire, the Netherworld.
Okay.
They're just fighting armies. They're fighting human ideals, the very essence of what it means to be good.
This conceptual struggle, the battle for the human soul as much as for the physical world, that's what gives the series its lasting power, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. But before we dive right into the ancient history and stuff, we need to talk about our map, right? How are we defining what's canon here?
Because, when you've got a franchise spanning decades, different writers, different formats, things can get messy. Contradictions pop up.
They always do.
So how do we make sure we're giving you, the listener, the clearest, most accurate story?
That is a crucial question. What really counts as canon? Especially when you've got manga, novels, OVAs.
Right.
So for this deep dive, our primary sources, the absolute bedrock, are the original 39-episode TV series and those 3 OVAs, Gaiden, Legend of the Inferno Armor, and Message.
Okay, the animated stuff.
The animated stuff is king here. That forms the definitive backbone. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and brings us right up to date. The newly announced 2026 sequel, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers, we're treating that as the most current and authoritative canonical continuation.
So it's not just another story, it kind of sets the new standard.
Exactly. It seems poised to provide crucial context for the entire saga. It might even reframe events we thought we understood, add new layers to the origins. Think of it like the latest definitive statement from the creators.
Okay. What about things like the manga or novels?
Good question. Information from manga, novels, those character encyclopedias you sometimes get, or even statements from the creators.
Yeah.
We're considering those supplementary.
Meaning,
we'll use them only if they line up perfectly with the main animated canon, or if they offer insights that don't contradict it. We really need to keep the animated series and OVAs as our guiding light. That's the definitive word on the lore for this discussion.
Got it.
And just to clear up another potential confusion point, well, the Ronin Warriors characters did pop up in some crossover video games.
Right, like fighting games and stuff.
Yeah. There's never been a major video game developed that actually adds new primary lore to their specific universe. So if you've played, say, Rise of the Ronin.
Oh yeah, great game.
Fantastic game, but completely different story, separate IP. Not part of this Ronin Warriors universe at all.
Good clarification. Easy to mix those up.
Very easy. So essential to keep them separate for today's deep dive.
Okay, so to really appreciate this story, to get the battles and the philosophy woven into it, let's spend a moment getting to know the key players. Who are these armored warriors? And who are they up against? Because, like you said, their identities, their virtues, that's central to the whole thing.
Absolutely central. What's so fascinating about this cast is how each character is tied really intricately, not just to an element like fire or water.
Or an animal motif.
Yeah, or an animal motif, but directly to a specific Confucian virtue. And that just elevates them way beyond simple action heroes. It makes their struggles, their wins, their losses. They become these really resonant tests of character, of conviction, this deep link between power and morality. That's core to the series' themes. Let's break them down.
Okay, who first?
First up, the main man, Ryo Sanada Ryo in Japan. He's the passionate one, often kind of hot-headed leader type.
Right.
He wields the armor of fire, or retsu, think pleasing flames. His virtue is benevolence, or jin.
Benevolence, so kindness.
It's more than just kindness. It's this fierce, protective compassion, even sometimes for his enemies. That's what drives him. When Ryo uses his big move, the flare-up, it's not just about destruction. It often feels like it purifies things, reflecting that cleansing power of his virtue.
Interesting. Okay, who's next?
Then we have Kento Reifon, or Shu Reifon. He's this powerful, very steadfast martial artist, originally from China in the backstory. He commands the armor of earth, or Konggu. Think Hardrock, sheer strength. His virtue is justice, or Di.
Justice. Makes sense for the strong guy.
Totally. Kento embodies this unwavering righteousness, standing up for what's right with just unyielding resolve. His attacks often involve tremors, powerful physical hits, reflecting that unbreakable determination.
Okay, 3 more Ronin?
Next is Sage Date, or Date Seiji. He's the calm one, strategic, sometimes a bit detached maybe.
The thinker.
The thinker, exactly. He wears the armor of light, or Kurin, which glows with this radiant energy. His virtue is wisdom, Chi. Sage represents foresight, strategy, the ability to cut through illusions, see the truth. His attacks are often these precise beams of light, piercing darkness and deception.
Cool. Number 4.
Number 4 is Sayamori, or Morishin. He's the quiet one, stoic, sometimes a little melancholic, deeply connected to the sea. He wields the armor of water, Suiko, letting him control torrents, tides. His virtue is trust, or Shin.
Trust. How does that play out?
Sai embodies unwavering loyalty, integrity, a real depth of character. His water attacks can be defensive, like making shields, or offensive, like huge waves. It reflects the adaptable but constant nature of trust,
Yeah, I get that. And the last one.
And finally, Rowen Hashiba, or Hashiba Toma. He's the brilliant one. Analytical, often sarcastic, the intellectual of the group.
The smartass.
Basically, yeah. He commands the armor of sky, or Penku. Gives him control over winds, storms, the atmosphere. His virtue is life or may.
Life. That's an interesting one.
It is. Rowen is about embracing and preserving life itself, understanding its balance, using his smarts to protect it. It's a powerful counterpoint to all the destruction. His arrow shockwave attack, for example, uses air currents to strike with precision. So you see, these aren't just cool supersuits. They're like wearable philosophy exams.
No pressure on those kids.
Right. And facing them, you have the Dark Warlords. They serve the big bad, Master Talpa. There's Anubis, or Shutenduji. He's the leader, associated with Spring and the ogre myth, uses chains, fire. Cale, who's also called Anubis in Japan, confusingly, linked to Winter and the Wolf. Master of Illusion, ice. Sekhmet, or Naza, representing Autumn and the Serpent, uses short blades, hypnotic powers. And Dais, or Rajura, tied to Summer and the Spider. Ensnaring webs, illusions. These guys aren't just monsters. They're smart, cunning, each mirroring or twisting the Ronin's virtues.
Okay, got the main players. Any other key figures we need to know?
Definitely. There's Master Talpa, Yuja Arago. He's the emperor of the dynasty, the big bad, the embodiment of the demonic force looming over everything. The Ancient One, or Kaos, this mysterious, mystic warrior figure who acts as a guide, almost a spiritual mentor for the heroes. White Blaze, Byakuin, that's Ryo's awesome white tiger companion, super loyal, often jumps into the fights.
Everyone loves a cool animal sidekick.
Absolutely. Then there's Lady Kaiyura, really powerful, enigmatic figure. Starts as an antagonist, but then it's revealed she's the last of the Ancient One's clan. Add a lot of tragedy and complexity there.
Okay.
And of course, the Dynasty, the Yusha, that's the whole demonic empire, the Netherworld itself, the source of the evil. And finally, one more really important one. The Inferno Armor, or Kikute. This is the supreme armor of light and virtue, the ultimate power-up that becomes absolutely central later on. A force so huge it holds potential for both salvation and maybe total destruction.
Wow, okay. Lots to keep track of, but that sets the stage nicely. 2. The ancient lore. Where it all began and evolved. Okay, now here's where it gets, like you said, really interesting.
Sure.
And maybe a bit confusing. Because the history of this universe goes back millennia.
Not history.
The very first major event, the conflict that kicks everything off, happens roughly 1,000 years before the TV series even starts. This isn't just backstory. This is the foundation.
Absolutely the foundation. Stepping back for that bigger picture view, this initial conflict, it's the seminal event. It sets the stage for literally everything that follows. It dictates the future, the nature of the armors, everything.
So what happened 1,000 years ago?
Okay, so about a millennium before our heroes show up, this malevolent spirit, Arago, the Emperor of Doom from the Yuja realm, launches a full-scale invasion of Earth.
Not just a raid, a full invasion.
A full invasion. The ancient texts, or what the show presents as them, describe it as totally overwhelming. Even feudal Japan's greatest samurai armies. Powerless. Just wiped out. Imagine this scene. Entire clans, trained warriors, just falling before this tide of demons. It's a moment of complete human vulnerability against this immense otherworldly power. A global catastrophe, basically.
So how did humanity survive?
The historical accounts say this devastating war only ended because of the intervention of this mysterious mystic figure we mentioned, the Ancient One, Kaos. He was this figure of immense spiritual power. He's the one who managed to defeat Arago and, crucially, banish his spirit back to the Netherrealm.
Okay, so good guy wins. End of story.
Not quite. It wasn't a totally clean victory. It came with this profound, lasting consequence. And here's a critical piece of the original lore, the stuff from the first TV series.
Right, the first version.
Arago's evil armor, the source of his immense power, it couldn't be banished with his spirit. It was just too potent, too soaked in his malice.
So it stayed on Earth.
It stayed. So to neutralize it, prevent it from just bringing it back immediately, the Ancient One shattered it. Broke this one suit of evil armor into 9 mystical suits.
Ah, the 9 armors.
Exactly. 5 of them became the armors of virtue. He actively imbued them with those confusion virtues. Benevolence, justice, wisdom, trust, life. Intended for future warriors who embodied those qualities.
And the other 4?
The other 4, well, they still retain their inherently evil nature, their dark energy. And eventually, Arago reclaimed those to be worn by his 4 Dark Warlords for the next invasion.
Okay, so good forged from evil. That makes sense.
It does. And that, critically, is the origin story that the first viewers got from the TV show. A clear, decisive creation of virtuous power from a defeated evil fit perfectly in that classic good versus evil framework.
But it said that changes.
But yes, hold on to that thought, because just when you think the origin story is straightforward, good from evil, crystal clear, the writers had something much bigger and, frankly, more unsettling planned down the line.
Okay.
Decades after that first series, the later message OVA comes along and gives us a much more nuanced and ultimately the more current and definitive understanding of where the armors came from.
So they retconned it.
It's more than just a retcon, I'd argue. It completely changes everything we thought we knew about the source of these powers. It's a fundamental rewrite, a philosophical upgrade.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the new origin story then?
So that's a great question, right? What does it mean when a core lore point gets recontextualized like that? The message OVA isn't just a sequel. It's like a philosophical update patch for the whole universe. It presents this profound canonical shift. The armors, they aren't a one-time creation from Arago's shattered evil suit. Instead, they are an ancient perpetual force.
Perpetual, meaning?
Meaning they've existed since the dawn of history, maybe even before humans. They're not just magical items. They're more like fundamental aspects of existence itself, like primal forces.
Whoa. Okay, so where do good and evil come in?
Right. Here's the core idea of this revised lore, and it's deep. Negative human emotions, stuff like hatred, greed, despair, envy, fear, that's what generates the demonic armors of the Netherworld.
So the armors are literally made of bad feelings.
Essentially, yeah. That includes Arago's armor, Lord Saberstrike's armor we meet later. They are literal manifestations of humanity's own darker impulses.
Okay.
But simultaneously, and in eternal opposition, the timeless virtues that guide humanity, benevolence, justice, etc., they possess an equally great inherent power. And this power allows certain individuals to tame and control specific armors, even though those armors might have this inherently dark, emotion-born nature.
So the virtue overrides the darkness.
It channels it. It gives it purpose.
Right.
That dynamic is what gave rise to the original Ronin Warriors. Their virtues weren't just nice qualities they had. They were the keys to turning this dark primal energy into a force for good.
Okay, so what about the Ancient One shattering Arago's armor? Did that happen?
In this revised context, the Ancient One's role is totally recast. His actions were restorative, not creative. He didn't make the good armors from Arago's evil one.
So what did he do?
He recognized and basically manifested a new form of this eternal cycle of power and virtue that has always existed. He was a sage, someone who understood the fundamental fabric of reality and channeled these eternal forces, gave them shape for a new era.
Wow. Okay, that is a big change.
Huge. It's not just fixing a plot point. It's a philosophical upgrade. It makes the armors less like tools and more like manifestations of humanity itself. Both our darkness and our light.
So the fight isn't just against demons out there.
Exactly. It's profoundly against internal human darkness, too. A darkness that's constantly balanced by our inherent virtues. The armors become a direct reflection of the human heart, not just magic weapons. It deepens the stakes for every single warrior. Their battles become spiritual, not just physical.
Yeah.
Imagine Rio fighting. He's not just hitting a demon, he's confronting the source of that demon, which might be human despair itself. Repunch is a philosophical statement.
That's heavy, and it makes the whole thing feel more timeless.
Precisely. It sets up this endless cycle.
Okay, if that wasn't enough to completely flip the script on the origins, the message OVA also drops another piece of history, one that stretches back even further.
It does, even further back than that first invasion, in a way that directly impacts the heroes in their own time. It adds this layer of prophecy, almost pre-written destiny, and a whole lot of tragedy to the saga.
More tragedy, great.
Yeah, what's absolutely fascinating here is the almost heartbreaking irony of the message itself. Okay, so picture this. About 150 years before the main series, during Japan's Edo period, relatively peaceful time,
Right.
an ordinary playwright and his family somehow come into possession of the armor of Halo, Sage's armor.
Just
Details are a bit mystical, but yeah. Not a grand heroic moment, just a civilian family suddenly holding this incredibly powerful, dangerous thing. The playwright, being a man of peace and art, he rejects its violent power. He sees it as a magnet for tragedy, not a tool for heroes.
smart man.
You'd think. But despite him rejecting it, his family gets persecuted and eventually killed by a fearful local government. They saw the armor and anyone near it as a threat.
Oh, man.
His daughter, Susanagi, she's consumed by grief and rage. She blames the armor for her family's destruction. Later, she tries to protect a new wielder of the armor of Torrent-sized future armor, but she fails, and she gets executed too.
Jeez. So the armors just cause pain.
That's certainly how Susanagi sees it. It's this devastating cycle of fear, misunderstanding, violence, all centered on these artifacts that are supposed to embody virtue.
So where does the message come in?
The playwright, in desperation, witnessing this endless tragedy, creates this elaborate play. And this play foretells all the adventures of the future Ronin Warriors.
He predicted the whole TV series.
Essentially, yeah. He wrote their destiny, their battles, their sacrifices. But as a stark warning, this manuscript, this message, was meant to warn about the tragic, cyclical history of the armors, the burden they carry.
And the daughter Susanagi?
Her spirit, unable to find peace, becomes this vengeful phantom, tied to the human world, haunted by the past. She witnesses the endless pain caused by the armors across generations, not just to our family. And this convinces her absolutely that the only way to end this unbearable cycle of misery, the only way to truly have peace, is to use the ultimate power of the Inferno armor to destroy the entire universe.
Whoa, that's extreme.
Utterly extreme nihilism born from profound suffering. So for you, the listener, this backstory adds this incredibly rich, melancholic layer. It means that heroic armors aren't just tools for justice. They are burdens, steeped in dark, tragic history, a legacy of sorrow. And that sets up a huge internal conflict for the heroes later on.
It tells us the weight of their power isn't just their own fight.
Exactly. It carries the burden of centuries of human suffering and misunderstanding connected to these very objects. 3. The main saga, the television series, 1988-1989.
Okay, let's jump forward now. From ancient lore and tragic Edo plays, fast forward to 1988. This is where the core of the franchise's story gets laid down in that original TV series. Master Talpa returns. And like you hinted, it is not a subtle entrance.
Not subtle at all. He makes his presence known in this dramatically destructive, terrifying way. It marks the second coming of the Yuja dynasty, right into our modern world.
So where does he show up?
And that return, specifically set in modern-day Shinjuku, Tokyo, is brilliant because it immediately grounds all that ancient, fantastical stuff in a contemporary city, makes the threat feel incredibly real, hitting right at the heart of modern Japan.
So he just appears over Tokyo.
Pretty much. Talpa establishes his phantom stronghold, this terrifying demonic castle, literally materializing right over the city skyline. It's this chilling visual, the demonic realm imposing itself tangibly on the human world.
Okay, so invasion starts. What about the heroes?
In response to this massive invasion, 5 young men, Ryo, Sai, Kento, Sage, and Rowen, are dramatically revealed, sometimes to themselves even, as the chosen Ronin Warriors, each possessing one of those armors of virtue. But during their first really chaotic clash with Talpa's forces, Talpa deliberately disperses them across the city, scatters their strength, forces them to face his warlords individually at first.
Divide and conquer.
Classic tactic. And the early episodes then follow the frantic efforts of 2 really key civilians.
Right, you mentioned them, Yuli and Mia.
Exactly. Yuli, this brave kid whose parents get captured by Talpa's goons. And Miyakoji, this brilliant student researcher who quickly starts figuring out the ancient prophecies and legends. Together, despite being, just normal people, they work tirelessly to find and reunite the scattered warriors.
So it's not just about the superpowered guys?
Not at all. It really emphasizes the human element, the bonds of friendship, the unexpected courage of ordinary people supporting their heroes, often putting themselves in danger. This first arc carefully documents their individual battles. We see their initial struggles against the Dark Warlords in the human world, how they slowly learn about their powers, and eventually how they start winning.
And their powers grow.
Yeah, the series explicitly shows the more they fight, the stronger their connection to the armor becomes. We even see Ryo pull off his first big finishing move, the flare-up, right in the first episode. It's a clear sign of his growth, unlocking that power. It sets up this dynamic where their strength isn't fixed. It evolves with their experience, their determination, their commitment to those virtues.
Okay, so they reunite, beat the warlords in Tokyo. What's next? Sounds like the end.
But that was just phase 1. With those initial, really hard-won victories under their belts, the heroes then embark on an even more dangerous journey, one that truly tests their resolve, pushes them to their absolute limits.
Where'd they go?
A direct confrontation with Talpa on his home turf, the terrifying, desolate Netherrealm.
Into the lion's den.
Exactly. This is where the stakes just skyrocket and their commitment gets pushed to the breaking point.
Okay, so how does that change things?
Well, looking at the big picture, this long second arc dramatically shifts the scale. It goes from defending Tokyo to launching this desperate assault into the enemy's heartland. It forces the warriors to really deepen their convictions, rely on each other completely, and face a level of sacrifice they probably didn't even imagine at the start.
Who guides them there?
They're guided by the mysterious Ancient One, Chaos. They venture into the Netherrealm, described as this desolate, treacherous place full of nightmare creatures. Their mission is twofold: rescue Yuli's parents, who are still captives, and face Talpa directly on his own ground, where his power is strongest.
Oh, that's tough.
Incredibly tough. The journey is packed with escalating threats. They're not just fighting generic demons anymore. They encounter new, much stronger foes, including that enigmatic Lord Saberstrike, whose own origins kind of hint at that same dark armor cycle we talked about.
Right, the negative emotions thing.
Yeah. And Lady Kaiyura, who starts as this powerful enemy but then turns out to be the last of the Ancient One's clan, which adds all sorts of tragic irony to the fight.
Okay, so tougher enemies. Do the Ronin get stronger too?
They have to. Throughout this really grueling journey, each hero goes through an individual trial, a deeply personal challenge designed to fully unlock their armor's ultimate power.
Like training montages.
Sort of, but more spiritual. Like, Kento might face a trial of strength and justice against impossible odds. Sage has to use his wisdom to navigate illusions that mess with his mind. They aren't just generic power-ups. It's about mastering their specific inherited strength, their virtue, and overcoming their own internal doubts and fears.
And this lets them beat the warlords for good.
Pretty much. This growth allows them to permanently defeat the Dark Warlords, often confronting them in their specific domains within the Netherrealm. It really shows that true strength comes from within, from their character.
Okay, so they power up, beat the warlords, then comes Talpa.
Then comes the climax, the dramatic, almost sacrificial emergence of the Inferno armor, the Kikute for Rio, the ultimate power-up.
Ah, the one you mentioned earlier.
That's the one. This supreme armor, it looks different, fiery, golden. It requires Rio to temporarily absorb the power of the other four armors of virtue.
So he gets all their powers combined.
For a time, yes. It's both a massive physical upgrade, giving him unimaginable strength, and this profound symbolic union of their collective spirit. It embodies all five virtues in one warrior.
Sounds unstoppable.
It pretty much is. Its creation represents the complete fusion of their virtues: benevolence, justice, wisdom, trust, life, into this single overwhelming force against Talpa. It's the moment their individual strengths become something way greater than the sum of their parts.
So he just wipes the floor with Talpa.
Well, it grants him the power needed to finally defeat Talpa's physical form, yes. But using it comes at a huge cost.
Oh, what's the catch?
Rio's original Wildfire armor and his iconic swords of Wildfire, they're utterly destroyed in the process. Gone.
Wow, he loses his own armor to use the ultimate one.
Exactly. It's this powerful statement on the sacrifice needed for that definitive victory. A stark reminder that ultimate power often demands a steep price. Even in triumph, there's significant loss.
So Talpa's defeated, Ryo loses his armor.
Yeah.
How does the series end?
Talpa's spirit gets banished once more, presumably back to the Netherrealm. But the victory feels bittersweet. It's deeply tempered by the sacrifice of the Ancient One.
Chaos dies.
He gives his life, his very essence, to save the warriors from one last desperate attack from Talpa's lingering spirit. It's poignant. And then, in this really surprising twist, the Ancient One's armor and spirit are later passed on to Anubis.
The Dark Warlord.
Yeah. It's revealed Anubis wasn't entirely evil, that he'd been manipulated by Talpa. It hints at this capacity for redemption, even in the darkest characters.
Huh. Unexpected.
Totally. So it's a powerful, almost tragic ending. You get the sense that victory is hard won, comes with huge personal sacrifice, and sometimes true alliances and hope can pop up in the most surprising places. It leaves you feeling that even this huge win might just be a pause, not the final end.
Right. Setting up those cycles you mentioned for expanding the universe, the OVA era. Okay, so the main series ends, Talpa's banished again, but it's not over. Just a year later, the Ronin Warriors are back in action. But this time, the OVAs take them away from Japan.
They do. The OVAs, the original video animations, really start expanding the scope, pushing them beyond their homeland into a wider world.
Where does the first one, Gaiden, take place?
What's fascinating about Gaiden, which is set about a year after the TV finale, is how it immediately jumps the action to New York City.
Okay, big shift.
Huge shift. It shows the threats aren't just contained to Japan or the Yuja realm. They're global now. And this OVA introduces a new type of villain, Chikaisen. He's a mad scientist.
Not a demon.
Nope. Human. Consumed by ambition, twisted by technology, it adds this different, almost cyberpunk-ish feel to the conflict. Shikaisen somehow gets his hands on Sage's armor of Halo.
The armor of light.
Yeah, and he uses its power not for wisdom, but to commit these brutal murders. So the Warriors have to travel to the U.S. to stop him.
And do they need the Inferno armor again?
They do. The climax is this big high-tech battle where the heroes, kind of out of desperation again, summon the Inferno armor. They use its immense power to destroy this supercomputer that Shikaisen is merged with. It really cements the Inferno armor's role as the ultimate weapon, the big gun they pull out for overwhelming threats, even if they're man-made ones.
So what's the takeaway from Gaiden?
For you, the listener, this OVA reinforces that threats can come from anywhere. Human ambition can be just as dangerous as demonic power. And the power of the armors, especially the Inferno armor, is still essential, even if using it takes a toll. It shows their responsibility is now global.
Okay, next OVA. Legend of the Inferno Armor. Summer 1990. The title itself sounds ominous.
It does, doesn't it? It immediately makes you ask, what happens when your greatest weapon, this symbol of virtue, has a dark, corrupted twin? This one pushes things into really complex, morally gray areas.
It's dark twin. Explain that.
Right. It really forces the question, can even a power born from virtue be corrupted or mirrored by darkness? This 4-episode OVA brings the action back to Shinjuku, and it introduces Mukala, this new, incredibly powerful warrior. But here's the twist. Mukala wields a black copy of the Inferno armor.
Seriously, an evil Inferno armor.
An almost perfect, dark reflection of Ryo's ultimate strength. It's not just another bad guy. It's this direct, terrifying double of their best weapon. It forces them to confront the shadow of their own power.
So they have to fight themselves, kind of.
In a way, yes. They're fighting not just for humanity, but also to stop their own ultimate power from being turned against them, to keep their symbol of hope from becoming a tool of despair. This story adds this crucial, almost philosophical layer. It shows that even a force as mighty as the Inferno armor can have this dark, uncontrollable counterpart, like its very existence casts a shadow.
Foreshadowing again.
Totally. It subtly but powerfully foreshadows the even deeper philosophical turn that's coming next. It strongly suggests that power itself is neutral, and its true nature is all about the heart and intent of the wielder, a critical step in the franchise's evolution.
Okay, and that brings us to the third OVA message. You've built this one up as pretty significant.
It is. Arguably the most profound, introspective, and utterly game-changing part of the original saga. This isn't just another fight. It's a deep deconstruction of everything they thought they knew about being heroes, about their powers. And it fundamentally reshapes the lore for us, the viewers. This is where the saga truly grows up.
Okay, how does it start?
What's really revolutionary about Message, said about a year after the last battle, is how bravely it pulls the warriors apart, physically and psychologically. They've separated. They're trying to lead normal lives, find some peace after years of constant world-ending battles, trying to fit back in, shake off the burden of being chosen ones.
Can't blame them.
Not at all. But they inevitably get drawn back together, not by a new demon invasion, though, by a mysterious manuscript.
The message from the playwright?
The very same one we discussed earlier. That ancient prophecy becomes their new, haunting call to arms. They're then confronted by Suzunagi, the vengeful ghost from that Edo period tragedy, a figure just radiating centuries of pain.
And she wants revenge.
She offers them new, even more powerful-seeming armors. But not to fight evil. She wants them to join her. She tries to convince them with this chilling conviction to use the Inferno armor, their symbol of unity and virtue, to destroy the entire universe.
Destroy everything. Why?
Because she is utterly convinced, based on her own suffering and witnessing history, that the armors, despite any good they do, only lead to an endless, heartbreaking cycle of misery and pain. Destruction is the only path she sees to true, permanent peace. It's this desperate, nihilistic solution born from her trauma.
Wow. Okay, so how do the Ronin react?
Well, the narrative here shifts dramatically. It moves away from an external physical battle into this deep internal philosophical one.
Less fighting, more talking.
Kinda, yeah. But really intense talking. It's groundbreaking for its time. The OVA uses extensive monologues, haunting flashbacks, quiet, emotional scenes. It shows each warrior genuinely grappling with the traumatic consequences of their battles. They seriously question if their heroic actions were worth the immense cost. The lost friends, the shattered peace, the psychological weight of wielding that much destructive power. They revisit their sacrifices, their losses, the toll it's taken on their young lives.
So, like, PTSD for superheroes.
Pretty much, yeah. It's this unprecedented look at the burden of heroism, the scars under the armor. It challenges that whole hero's reward idea.
So what's the conclusion? Do they join her? Do they fight her?
The conclusion isn't a simple good guys win moment. It's this poignant, deeply impactful philosophical realization that fundamentally changes their understanding of their universe. The armors themselves are neither inherently good nor evil. Their nature is determined entirely by the virtue of the wielder's heart.
That's the big shift from the TV series.
That's the monumental shift. Power is innate, a fundamental force, but its direction, its purpose is chosen by the person wearing it. Ultimate responsibility lies with humanity. The warriors, after huge internal struggle, they ultimately reject Suzunagi's nihilistic path. They choose instead to believe that their love, their conviction, their purpose can break the cycle. They can imbue the armors with meaning beyond their dark origins.
So they choose hope over despair.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
They understand the armors carry a dark history, but it's their own hearts that give them light and a path forward. This whole introspective, deconstructive take on the Chosen One trope was way ahead of its time, predates similar themes in bigger franchises. It's truly the heart of the saga's thematic evolution. It lays the groundwork for how we understand the whole universe now and sets the stage for what comes next. True heroism is an internal choice, not just having powers.
Wow. Okay, message sounds essential. V, the future of the lore, the 2026 sequel. All right, so after all that history, the intense fights, the deep philosophy, what is next for the Ronin Warriors? You mentioned the sequel.
Yes. The recent, very exciting announcement of the new series, Yoroiden Samurai Troopers, set for January 2026. It brings the lore right back to the modern day, but with a bang that definitely echoes all that history.
So it's not just nostalgia, it's a real continuation.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
A direct, canonical continuation that promises to build on everything we've just unpacked.
Okay, so how does it connect to message and that cyclical idea?
Well, to really get the significance, you have to connect it directly back to message. The whole premise of this new series explicitly confirms that cyclical nature message hinted at so strongly. The plot is set squarely in contemporary Shinjuku. Same place the original invasion started.
Back to square one.
Feels like it. The narrative kicks off with a terrifyingly familiar event. The seal holding back the Yuzhou realm. It breaks. Again, allowing waves of demonic soldiers to pour back into the human world. It's not a new enemy, it's the same ancient enemy returning. A real testament to that idea that peace is temporary, vigilance is eternal.
So new heroes fighting the old fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This new conflict, decades after Rio and the others fought, will be shouldered by a new generation. A fresh team of 5 young men led by a protagonist named Guy.
Guy. And does he get an armor?
He does. He'll wear a new suit of mystical armor called the Armor of Blaze, which suggests, a thematic link to Rio's fire element, but maybe with a new twist.
And the tone. Is it going back to the 80s action vibe?
Doesn't sound like it. The official announcement teases stuff like a mysterious gate tearing open the sky, chaos in the city, and this really ominous line. Humans are such ugly creatures.
Ooh.
Dark. Yeah, it strongly hints at continuing that darker, more introspective tone from the OVAs, especially message. It feels like this isn't just a rehash, it's building on that emotional and philosophical foundation, pushing those themes of human nature, virtue, vice, cyclical conflict even further. It confirms those big questions from the original saga are still alive, still relevant today.
Okay, so taking all that in, what does the sequel really mean for the overall Ronin Warriors lore? It's not just another chapter, right?
No, it feels like more than that. It's a powerful reinforcement of everything message taught us about the true, enduring nature of this struggle. It really solidifies the franchise's overarching philosophical journey into something grander.
So the big question it answers is, was the original victory temporary?
That seems to be the ultimate takeaway, doesn't it? The sequel definitively confirms. Yes, the hard-won peace the original Warriors achieved, it wasn't permanent. The seal on the Yuzhou realm was just that, temporary. The conflict reemerges decades later, which places the original series and OVAs into this new, much larger historical context. It shows even a huge, costly victory can only postpone, not end, an eternal struggle woven into existence itself.
So the new kids inherit the fight and the philosophy.
Precisely. This new generation inherits not just the physical battle, but the profound philosophical burden of their predecessors. They'll undoubtedly have to face the same fundamental questions. What is power? What is responsibility? How do we break cycles of hate and find hope? What's the true role of these armors? The return of the Yuja, the new armors. It all confirms this ancient struggle between virtue and vice isn't a one-off event. It's an eternal war that has to be fought anew by each generation.
Wow.
It absolutely solidifies the franchise's thematic journey, from one heroic tale about one group to this grand, ongoing narrative about humanity's enduring struggle with itself, with its own inner darkness and the external evil it keeps generating and facing.
It makes heroism seem less like a destination.
Exactly, more like a continuous generational responsibility, a torch passed from one era to the next. Outro.
Man, what an incredible deep dive that was into the world, the lore, the philosophy of Ronin Warriors. We've really journeyed from what looked like, a straightforward heroic fantasy, good guys beat bad guys, to this really profound exploration of conflict and character.
It really evolved, didn't it?
Massively. We've seen how the lore itself evolved, not just adding stories, but recontextualizing things. It matured into this complex, multi-layered tapestry about power, responsibility, the human heart.
And the resilience of it, too.
Yeah. And that final canonical verdict, especially coming out of the Message OVA, it totally redefined the armors, turned them from just magic items into these eternal forces, shaped entirely by the wielder's virtue, or lack of it.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the whole franchise just shows this remarkable thematic evolution. It's quite breathtaking, really.
Yeah.
Started with heroes triumphing over external evil, gave us that classic satisfaction. Then it bravely deconstructed the cost of that heroism, looked at the scars.
Right, the internal struggle.
Yeah. And now, with the 2026 sequel coming, it firmly cements the struggle as this perpetual war between the constant forces of human virtue and human vice. A victory for one generation, however amazing, just postpones the conflict until a new generation gets the call.
Makes their own choices.
Makes their own choices. Faces those same eternal questions all over again. It's this powerful narrative about enduring responsibility and the timelessness of the human spirit, both good and bad.
So thinking about all that, what does it mean for you listening right now? The Ronin Warriors saga leaves us with this really powerful, kind of lingering question, doesn't it? What does it actually mean to be a hero when the battle is never really over? When every win might just be a temporary peace? How do we find meaning? How do we find purpose inside what seems like an eternal struggle? And maybe, what cycles of challenge or even growth might you be unknowingly repeating in your own life right now?
That's a deep thought to end on.
It is. And what personal virtue, what inner strength will you call upon? What flame will you ignite inside yourself to face your next enduring battle? Something to think about anyway. Until our next deep dive.